records. Smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on vinyl and vision.
Oof. Boy, that's brutal. What you're listening to is the first track off of Bedtime Magic's brand new full-length album. The song is called Awake. At the end of the episode, I feature another song off that album called Fitted Queen. Little selection of it, that is. Hi, folks. Welcome to the show. Jimmy Drab, your host. And my guests tonight are the duo that make up the band Bedtime Magic. Nicholas Pentabona and Morgan Berns. It was a super fun conversation to have with these guys. These guys are fucking ball busters. They're not only extremely knowledgeable and very talented musicians, but they're crafty and clever and fun. And it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with them. A little bit of a unique situation tonight because of the record that they chose. So for those people who are not familiar with this show exactly, what we do is we take an artist and then we ask them, hey, what makes you tick? What's an album? Can you name one album that you can name as an influence that you think was a very important record to you? Something along those lines. And they chose the album Battle Hymns for a New Republic by the band Plate 6. So if you're not familiar with that band or that record, I don't blame you. It's a fairly obscure record. It came out in 2005 on Bent Rail Foundation Records, I believe is what it's called. And there's very little information about that record out there floating around on the internet and so forth. So it was very hard to do this episode. And what makes it unique is that it was so difficult to find information that I felt kind of obligated to reach out to the band Plate 6, try to find some of those members, try to track them down, and ask them about the record, because the only way to get any information about it, really. So I have to say thank you to David Hickox, because I found him and messaged him, and he was able to provide me with a little bit of information. Fault is on me that I did not leave enough time to get enough before I was able to have this conversation with the guys in Bedtime Magic. But it's super intriguing. I mean, it's a great record, and it was a pleasure to try to get into it and try to analyze it with even as little information as I had. And so David was a very nice guy, and I hope to follow up with him and kind of catch up with him in the future and find out exactly what happened. Because the band broke up. That's essentially all that I really know. But they had gone on to do other things. Some of those, the members of that band, David Hickox, Daryl Jackson, Brad Davis. And I don't know. We'll find out. I'll find out for you folks. But I just want to say thank you to him and a little bit of I'm sorry, because, the conversation that I had with the gentlemen in Bedtime Magic, Morgan and Nicholas, we speculated a lot, because that's essentially kind of all we had to go off of. And if we did not speculate correctly, I'm sorry to those folks of that band, Plate 6. But like I said, I will try to follow up and maybe get some more better, accurate information. But if we speculated incorrectly, I'm sorry. I don't know. You'll hear it in the show if you listen. So by all means, listen to the whole thing, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. We'll try to follow up with those gentlemen. In the meantime, Bedtime Magic is an awesome band from Boston. Just a two-piece noise rock band. I don't know exactly how you want to describe it. Hardcore, thrash, grindcore, super loud, blisteringly so, and super interesting. Great, talented individuals in that band. And if you can, go see them. They're performing on Thursday night at O'Brien's in Boston, or Halston, maybe, to be more accurate. And it's actually the official release of the split that they have done with a band called Greylock, which is being released on Tor Johnson Records. It's available now on cassette. We talk about it a little bit in the show. So that is the show that they are doing for that release. And then, of course, the brand new full-length record that they are releasing, or it actually is currently available now, and it's currently in the vinyl pre-order status through Bandcamp. Links will be provided for those things. So you buy the record now. Due to vinyl record production delays, we don't know when it will officially arrive, but you can get the full-length download now, so you can listen to the whole thing. And then the vinyl will show up when it shows up, and it'll be like a pleasant surprise. It'll be like, yay, a record. They also are participating in a compilation for it's a benefit for the band Shallow North Dakota, who have as of now, it wasn't originally the intention, but now it is benefiting one of the members who has lost his battle with cancer, and the proceeds of that album will be going to the family. So if you're interested in supporting in that way, you can also do that. Links will be provided. I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for showing up and listening. We ask that you please do all the things you do with the internet if you can. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Find us on Instagram and Facebook and all that other happy horse shit, social media stuff, if you want to find out more updates. And yeah, it's getting close to the end of the year. Holidays are amongst us. I hope you all have a happy one, and I will actually be back here next week with a brand new episode. And then the week after that with another one. It's crazy. It's the time of the year to give, so I'm giving. Thank you very much, folks, for listening, and enjoy the show. So guys, yeah, this is very cool to be speaking with you both. I've been listening to your new record a lot, and it's pretty awesome.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
The latest Between the Sheets, which you sent me a copy of. Thank you very much for it. I appreciate
no worries,
it.
man.
So, I mean, what do you want to tell me about this new record? Because I was listening to a lot of the stuff you have off Bandcamp. I want to get into a couple things. I want to get into the new record, and you also have a new split out with Greylock.
Yeah, that's correct. We planned that split for a while, but then the pandemic happened and everything, and there was just a lot of choices we had to make timing wise, and then we talked to Paul from Tor Johnson, and he was like, I really, really, really want to put it out, but also business is slow because of the pandemic.
Right.
So what would you guys think about doing a tape? And we were like, yeah, we'll do a tape. That sounds fine.
Cool. Yeah. So when was that material recorded for the split?
We recorded in 2 sessions. So we had done the first session we did before pandemic started. So that would have been like the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Right. And so we sent the Greylock guys our stuff, and they sent us their stuff, and like they did like 5 songs, and it was like what 20 minutes worth of music or something like that, and we did
it's like 23 minutes. Yeah,
right, and we did 5 songs, and it was like 2.5 minutes.
We did 3 songs, and it was like 2.5 minutes, and Paul was like, there's literally no way I'm going to put out something that's 2.5 on one side, and
right,
like
so we were like, all right, cool, we'll go back, we'll record some more songs. So we did like another couple songs, which made it like 8 minutes total, like.
Yeah, so I think that's what I was getting, because like I've been listening to the digital copy because I didn't get the tape yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that your songs tend to be a little short, but you had a couple of longer ones on there. I mean, like, and so Paul was trying to explain it to me because I spoke with him recently, and he was telling me about that dilemma where, like, your songs are so short that like you couldn't fill up the second side in comparison to what Greylock was giving you, or giving him at least.
Yeah.
So what was the solution? You just basically wrote more material?
No.
Because you have 5 tracks listed on the Bandcamp.
Yeah.
But the cassette release is going to be different. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
Should we give away the secret, Nicholas?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping you would do it because
all right,
I'm always the one to
basically, the on our side, the whole thing plays forward like regular, and then at some point it starts to play backwards. So it's the whole thing plays all the way forward and then all the way backwards. But like the way it ended up getting mixed, it's really hard to tell like where that flip happens.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's the benefit to physical media, right?
Yeah.
Because like now the people that buy the tape, well, that's the only way you're going to hear that.
Right.
Correct.
Because the digital release doesn't have it.
No, and I think the tape will sound better overall. Like we mixed this for tape, we mastered this for tape. It's got the warmth of the tape. When you listen to the digital version, it's good. It's a little crispy, but what that tape evens it out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll send
yeah,
you the
I'm
tape.
not. Oh, cool. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it. Yeah, because I'm not a huge tape fan. I mean, like I have some tapes, and obviously there's a kind of resurgence and popularity in cassettes now.
Yeah.
Like it basically, if you can't afford to do a vinyl or you're not ready or prepared to do something like that, like you make a tape.
Yeah.
No one makes CDs anymore.
Right.
Which is weird because CDs are so big in Europe. Like we have this German fan base, and they're always like, "When are the CDs coming out?" And we're like, "What?"
But just burn it yourself. Although computers don't even come with CD players anymore half the time.
No, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the dilemma. We're stuck in the middle somewhere. Like, I thought I was technologically advanced like 10 years ago, and then it all just switched on me. And now it's just like, I can't do anything properly. I can't listen to music in my car properly because now I can't bring those tapes that I used to have.
Right.
Like even the new car, my wife's newest car, like doesn't have a CD player in it, so I can't even put CDs in the car.
Same here. And I got a CD and I brought it in her car, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Sing the songs to yourself.
I guess.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's crazy, but whatever. I mean, hey, I guess there's enough people that convert it over to one way or another that whatever media you put out, someone will buy it.
Right.
Well, so tell me about your love of vinyl records, because that's essentially what we're here to talk about, right?
Yeah.
You're both big fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I arrived at that. I didn't start with the idea of vinyl records, but I ended up there because I used to be a nanny, and the house that I lived at, they had a big fire, and the whole place burnt to the ground, and they had to rebuild.
Jesus.
And yeah, there was a roofer that left a light on at the top of the house, and it burnt down.
Wow.
So anyway, they burnt down. The fire department had come. They sprayed everything, whatever. And then while I was living there, they gave me a box of vinyl records that had a little bit of water damage, but the records played perfectly. And I had CDs that I got in like '97 that were all just flaking apart. They didn't work anymore. The cases were crunched. And I was like, huh. And I had tapes that I liked, but tapes are very, they're impractical because they're so based on a mechanical structure. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but like you don't have like a magnetic head to read all the time. I don't know. I got into records through that method, through like this Prince record I have over here, a couple big band records. And I was in my 20s, borderline 30s, so it was pretty late in the game, but now I'm committed to it. Because it weathers, it weathers things very well as opposed to tapes and CDs. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of like any other media. Like, you have to take care of it to a degree. I mean, they're pretty resilient, but you do kind of need to do some maintenance with it. Like, it's a little bit more, like a little bit more so than any other media. CDs, we used to chuck them around just like freaking, like I remember seeing this at like a kid's house. Like I would go over to his house, and I never had CDs because I was like too poor to buy CDs. And I just remember seeing he had a stack on his desk, just fucking messy stack.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, why don't you put those back in the case? Like, they're gonna get scratched up. He's just like, oh, it doesn't matter. They're resilient, But sure enough, if you do scratch them enough, like they won't play. Yeah. So, I don't know.
You can't get anything to happen on a CD once it gets scratched. You gotta hit the track button, and then it says like unreadable, or it says disc not read. And where with a vinyl record, you just move the arm, and you're like, well, guess I'm not listening to Zeppelin 3's first track anymore. But
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But see, I'm a seller. So I have to be a little bit more, like thoughtful in that process. Like I listen to so many records because I just preview everything that I get.
Yeah.
So, because I don't want to sell someone that's got a bunk track and then they'll be pissed off about it.
But once you listen to it, does that bring down the grading?
Well, I mean, I'll grade it, based on what I hear.
Based on the listen, okay.
Because it's like, I got a whole bunch of jazz stuff right now, like a bunch of old jazz records, and I'm like, some of them are actually kind of valuable, but like some of them don't play great. But at the same time, especially for that era, like some 50s and early 60s jazz, it's just like you kind of can't get those to play perfectly anymore. Like most of them, unless they've been really well maintained for all of these years, like they're gonna have some static, some surface noise.
I like the surface noise,
and I know, and some people really do. But like technically, it's not supposed to be there. Like technically, you need to clean your records, and they'll actually sound. You won't get that. You won't get that crackle at all. Supposedly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everyone's different, kind of.
I got a little bit of tinnitus anyhow, so like a lot of the like super high fidelity stuff, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like
yeah.
There's a hum already happening there, so it's probably fine.
Right.
For me, with the records, I was fortunately or unfortunately sort of born into it. My pop collected records, and this is before tapes and CDs and all of that stuff, and
right.
So there was tons of music always happening in my house, and like so I Run DMC, the first Run DMC record, I think was the first like record that was like my record. We went to the record store. Me and my dad, we went to J&M Music in Manhattan, and like I got the first Run DMC record. Like that was mine.
Oh wow. Yeah. How old were you then?
I was like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And right around the same time, like Michael Jackson Thriller. I got that on a picture disc. I think I got that for my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I still have it too. And I still have like the first 3 Run DMC records. They're great. But
oh yeah.
So it was always, that was just like, like tapes. I remember I got into heavy metal when I was like 10 or 11, and that's when I started getting tapes. But that was just because I was like, they were cheaper at that point.
Right.
And I remember you could like, everything switched over. There was all those like the music club thing, like you send them a penny or whatever, and then you could get like you could get like 8 cassette tapes, right? And then you're on the hook. You had to pay them like $50 like later down the road, and right. I don't know if I ever actually paid them the money I owed them.
Yeah, I don't. Most of us got away with it, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always just bought records. That was like how you played music. Right. And then, like I got into heavy metal, and from that ended up getting into skateboarding, and then got into punk rock, and like, punk rock, that was like, like if you got a band's demo tape, that would be, you get it on cassette, but like everything else was like 7 inches,
Yeah.
like,
7 inches. That was a big thing for me.
Right. And so that's just like, for me, like I got some CDs and stuff, but I like did the same thing like your friend did. Like I would just have a pile of them. Like they'd end up, I'm kind of a slob, so they would like end up on the floor of my room. I'd walk on them, like, whereas like a record, I had to put it away, like,
yeah.
Like I couldn't just like throw it on the floor. Like that wasn't going to work,
No.
Yeah. So it's like always been records. Like people, I don't know. I'm sure you hear people are like, "Well, but it's like making a comeback." Like it never went anywhere. Like there's always been, like always been happening.
If you wanted records throughout, ever since like I assume we're all around the same age, like early 40s.
Yeah.
So okay.
Ding
so
ding
like,
ding. Yeah.
Right. So in the 80s, growing up, like. Yeah, I mean, there was still vinyl records around, and most of, like, I wasn't buying records or music until I was in my, my teens, so in the 90s. And by that point, yeah, vinyl records, there were a few of them, but if you really wanted one, you could find them.
Yeah.
And it's really weird, because now in the collector's realm, all the music that came out in the 90s on vinyl, they made such limited runs of them because they weren't selling for the most part, that now those are really valuable.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just the way the market works. It's so weird. Collectors.
So what about Q Lazarus's Goodbye Horses? If I had that on vinyl.
Oh, I don't even know that. What is that?
It was the song that played behind Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Goodbye Horses.
Oh.
When he's like, doing the whole dance thing. Anyway,
Yeah,
that
when
came
he's
out
tucking.
on vinyl. Yeah. It was supposed to be one of those dance club hits, and so they put it out on vinyl. But obviously that movie made it so everybody's freaked out by it.
Right.
And I've seen it on vinyl and like Discogs and stuff, but I didn't see any kind of pricing with it. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. Just
It's
curious
got to
about
be
that.
there. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I could look it up right now if you really wanted me to.
Just
but
on my mind, because people say 90s vinyl, they usually think Soundgarden, Nirvana, but
yeah, that's for sure. I
like
can,
Paul Abdul.
what, do you guys like live together or something? You don't live together, right?
No, no.
You just always at each other's places.
He's not invited in my house.
We both have Venetian blinds.
That's not true.
as far
That's
as it
not
goes.
true. I'm not even in my house right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. You're in.
Yeah, we went out of town for the weekend, so I'm actually at like a vacation rental in Provincetown.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And so wait, so you're on vacation right now? I'm taking you away from your vacation time?
Not really, not really. My kid's already asleep. My wife's
okay.
reading her book, which is like what she wants to do on vacation.
Oh, she wants a break from you anyway.
He loves talking about records too, so this is like a treat. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we were going to talk about your records first a little bit. So the new record is coming out. It's already pre-selling right now, right?
Yeah, it's a tricky time.
Right, because of the pandemic backing up all the vinyl record plants.
Yeah, and the guys who are putting it out, Forbidden Place Records, I guess sort of out of Denver, out of the Midwest. Like one of the guys is moving, but they usually do their records through New Orleans record pressing. But because stuff was backed up with the pandemic, and then the hurricane, like that happened a couple months ago. I guess that totally messed stuff up as well, because like they couldn't get, they couldn't get stuff in or out for a little while. And we heard that Taylor Swift bumped like basically everybody. She decided she wanted to release her whole catalog or something on vinyl, and so like not to tell stories out of school or whatever, but I think the Forbidden Place guys were like pretty pissed because they had already paid for like multiple records to be pressed through them that they were waiting on, and like all of that got bumped so that they could press like millions of Taylor Swift records.
Right.
So like our record, they're sort of like, we can probably press it in 2022. Probably.
Well, 2022 is just right around the corner.
Right. But like
late
they
2022.
won, like they won, like I think we can't get like an actual month from the pressing plant.
They won't give you a date because they don't want to like be holden to something.
Yeah, because
and
what
then
if
let you
Creedence
down.
Clearwater Revival wants to do a 3 LP set?
Of
They
course,
got to
they're
leave
going
the
to go
door
for
open
it.
for them. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
They go where the money takes them. I mean, what the
gotta.
fuck?
Right. So we got to do the same thing. Unfortunately, is like we're pre-selling it, and we're going to send people like either T-shirts or cassettes if they pre-order it. When we'll sell it, we'll send that to them like long before we get the records. But we had to sort of tell people like, we don't know, man. Like we could get it next month, or it could be a year from now. Like
Right.
They won't give us a date, so we can't promise a date either.
It's true. No, man, I know. I mean, well, hey, you're not alone. Thankfully. I mean, it's not a great situation for anybody to be in, but at least it's not like anyone's going to look down at you guys being like, these guys fucked me. I just bought their their record and I'm not getting it. Haven't had it for a year.
Right.
I mean, we're going to be seeing that with everybody. Anybody that's buying independent music at all on vinyl. that's what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all like we had to they put it all over the listing. Like, hey, you're agreeing if you pre-order it, like we'll get it to you, but don't bust their balls about it. Like there's nothing we can do, you know?
Well, they put that there because people were busting their balls about the other stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, people are just gonna have to get on board, man. They're just gonna have to realize it's just like, if I'm buying music at all on vinyl this year, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just what's gonna happen. You know, it's unavoidable. So let's see. So we were supposed to be talking about a record that you guys chose. Now I'm curious. You guys, you know, a band choosing the same record is a little difficult because it's not the individual I'm talking to. So you both agreed on this record?
With a hive mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you both knew this record and just swear by it. You think it's a huge inspiration for you?
Yes. Morgan brought the record to my attention,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually found out about the record because he used to work at. Well, Morgan, why don't you tell? I don't want to tell your story for you.
Well, so I saw these guys play, like at this place, PA's Lounge in Somerville, Mass, which is like, the club holds like 50 people. It's like, it's about as much of a shithole as you could imagine.
Yeah. And when was that?
This was.
I'm assuming it was like 2005 when the record came out.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been right around that time. Like sometime right around early 2000s.
Okay.
My friend's band was playing this band Inverkaren, who they were Codetta for same band. They changed names at some point. I went to see them. And basically, it was like them and like 10 other people went to the show. And these guys showed up. They're from like South Carolina or Georgia?
No, Birmingham, Alabama.
Alabama, right. Somewhere in the South. Like, super quiet, had like not much to say. They got up and like, they could have been playing to a room of, like 5,000 people. And like, basically, like everybody, out of the 10 people who were there, like 5 people were outside smoking cigarettes, and the 5 of us who were like there actually like were just like, holy shit. Like they were fucking awesome.
Right.
And like, I think all of us bought something from them, cause like they weren't going to even make gas money, you know what I mean? Cause there was nobody at the show. It was unfortunate. It's like the place they played is just like a total fucking dump. And it's not even there anymore. Right, Nicholas? I hated that.
Well, it's there, but the guy changed the name, like he self-gentrified. So it's called something like the Somerville Town Pub or something, and it's got
That guy was a fucking crook. Anyhow, sorry, excuse my language, but
no, you can say it. I hope he hears
Right.
it. He gave my wife such shit about where she parked all the time. She used to work behind his building.
Yeah. Anyway, so no love lost about that club, but basically we knew they weren't going to make any money. So like everybody who saw them like bought at least one thing from them.
That's cool.
And this would have been when their first record came out, like Operation Chair Sit. I think they were touring on that record, and then like a year later or something, this record that we're going to talk about, the Battle Hymns for the New Republic, came out, and like. Basically, I've been obsessed with their 2 records since then. Like still on pretty heavy rotation, like one of those.
But you brought it to me through Battle Hymn.
Yeah.
And you specifically brought it to me. You said, I want you to hear this. 2 guitars and drums, because you just introduced me to what was it, Zenigava or something?
Yeah.
And you just introduced that to me, and then you were like, now for a different take on that, I want you to hear this part. And it's on this record where, what is the name of it? It's like Major something or other. I should probably have it in front of me.
The hymn of the Majuscule or whatever?
Yeah, like Majuscule hymn or something. But you put it on, you were like, you think the song's over, don't you? The song is not over. And you were like, just wait for it. And I'm like, it sounds like I'm listening to feedback while I'm driving. And you're like, just listen, just wait. And then the song comes back. And I was like, ooh. And so that was my inauguration to them. And I think that Morgan and I share a bond because it's his band, and we play shows with people, and sometimes we'll mention him, and it doesn't seem like they're well known.
No,
Nobody's.
I don't think anyone's heard of them. As a matter of fact, so I was doing the research. I'm just going to mention this now because it's just super cool. I thank you guys for reaching out to me and asking to do this, and like because I wanted to hear your band, and then I always am interested in hearing and like learning about what it is that makes people tick, you know? So I looked into this record after you told me about it, and there's nothing. There is nothing anywhere.
It's hard to find even streams of it.
Yeah, and there's not even lyrics anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and now you guys obviously know this music. How hard is it to grasp what the singers are singing?
I can definitely make out some of it. You know,
Some of it,
like
sure.
right enough that like in some songs I can sort of get an idea of what he's getting at. And
Yeah.
he definitely has like some pretty good turn of phrase in a few points. But like, could I tell you the lyrics to like an entire set of lyrics to one song? No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And he
So that was
sings
a
lot-
problem.
he sings a lot clearer on this record
Yes.
than he.
That was the big change from Operation Chair Set.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, so I had a hell of a time with this record. So much so that I actually looked into the band. I found out that it was the three pieces. It was David Hickox, Daryl Jacks, and I'm forgetting the drummer's name right now. Brad something.
Brad Davis, I think.
Yeah, Brad Davis, correct. So I actually tried to look for those guys, and I found David Hickox.
Right.
And I actually reached out to him and messaged him.
No shit.
What?
Yeah, and he was cool. He responded, but he wasn't able to get me any lyrics. But he did actually tell me a little bit about the record, because I was just like, anything you can tell me would be really helpful, because there's nothing anywhere. Like, there's a bunch of really bad reviews online, and like there's some good ones too. But it's just like, that's it. There's just like reviews from like some weird publications, and there's no lyrics anywhere. So it's hard for me to kind of analyze these songs, like, because I don't know what the words are. I don't know what he's saying exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, he has yet to get me any lyrics, but I was able to like kind of piece it together. And what he told me, I was just like, oh, okay, I actually wasn't too far off. Like, that's great. I'm glad that I actually like kind of analyzed it as best I could with what little I knew.
I'm on the edge of my seat. You got to tell me what he told you.
I mean, he didn't really say much. We've only been in contact for the past couple of days, and like I asked him about lyrics kind of specifically because I couldn't find them anywhere. And I don't know if you guys have copies of this on CD, right?
I do. Yeah.
And did that jacket have any lyrics in it? I'm assuming it didn't.
I don't think it did.
Right.
Or if it did,
Okay.
it was like very sparse. You know, like no full lyrics to anything. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a few phrases here and there or something.
Right.
Well, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I told him like I was going to talk to you guys tonight, and I don't know. He just wasn't able to get them to me. I imagine he probably hasn't even looked at these lyrics in over a decade, maybe. I mean,
Right.
it came out in 2005.
Right.
That band broke up, I think, shortly after.
Right.
And they've done some other things. I guess specifically David Hickox and Daryl Jacks went on to form some other bands.
I don't
But
think Daryl
nothing-
Jacks did. I think the drummer and I think it was David Hickox and the drummer Brad or whatever.
Brad Davis, yeah.
They played with Dan Sartin, who
Yeah.
he did like a record on Swami Records, which is like the guy from John Reese, who was in Rocket from
Drive
the
Like
Crypt
Jehu.
and Drive
Yeah.
Like Jehu. It's his record label, which that's pretty
Right.
rad, you know.
Yeah.
But like I think the other guy didn't do anything after this. Like I think this was his one and only band or whatever.
There was one release I found, and I can't remember the name of the band right now because I didn't keep a note of it. But the two of them, David and Daryl, worked on some other band. It kind of seemed like a kind of a joke band, though. It seemed like something that was more like really really loose, like not too serious.
Yeah.
Very different style of music too, I think. But yeah, so I'm assuming, you know, these guys just really don't play music anymore. But
so weird when bands do that, when they have such a profound quality to them, and then they just disappear. No, the guys are like, yeah, I just work around my house now. You know?
right. But see, I actually kind of really love that too, because I mean, you know, Bedtime Magic is an independent band. I've been in some independent bands before, and like, and I've put out some records, but like, who the fuck knows what record I put out? Right. Like a few people, but of those few people that may have bought it, like I hope somewhere deep down inside of me that those people really love it and would say this record is an amazing record.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's probably why David responded to my message, because I was just like, these guys that I'm going to talk to quoted that this record is influential to them. I mean, because that would make my day if someone told that to me, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's, you know, it's an honor. It's an honor to have people, whoever they are, because obviously he doesn't know you guys. You don't know him.
Yeah.
And you found his record and you love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I think that's part of the dream, right? Is that like
making an impact more so than like making like riches, right?
Right. Like if, you know, I can communicate something, if we can communicate something that's meaningful to somebody else, like that's shit, man. That'd be great.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Like I can respect that, but it's also like, if I didn't play music, I don't know what the fuck I'd do with myself. You know, like
I tried it for like a year, and it was the worst year that I've ever done.
Right before Nicholas and I started playing again, I had quit a band, and it had been like 6 months or so since I had played, and like I play the drums, and like it started to freak me out, and my wife, like I would, you know, it was when we first started dating or whatever, but I would like talk with her about it. My hands looked wrong because like I had calluses on my hands from playing the drums since I was 10 years old, and like the calluses were going away, and like so like even looking at my hands, I was like they don't look right. Like this, like I don't feel right in my own fucking body because like right. I need to play, like. And so that was like when I ended up, you know, Nicholas and I ended up meeting up. But
yeah. So when did you guys meet up?
2013, I think.
13.
Yep, that's correct.
And so what was the circumstance that you guys kind of got together?
Nicholas put an ad in on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He was looking for somebody with smooth hands. You know,
I said smooth hands into what's that term that I'm yiffing? No, I said that I put up this ad and I said I wanted to do a band that sounded like Man is the Bastard or like, I don't know, a bunch of like proto hardcore, like grindy things. And we played together. I had a song kind of pre-written so I could try people out. Like, yeah, I didn't want to be like, hey, let's play some covers because fuck that. Right. And I played the song. And he had a really good beat that he came up with, but it was not the beat that I wanted. And I went, oh, hey, man, actually it's more like a 4/4 kind of thing. And he just like was ignoring me. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. And I went, oh, okay.
Right. He was trying to tell me to play like the straight, like punk rock beat, like to play like the Ramones beat to it.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that beat. Like, you know, fucking many of the greatest songs of all time have that beat. But this song did not need that beat at all. And he was like, no, we'll try it. And I was just like,
but the fucking pair of brass balls, I just met you and you just ignored me and went, no, I'm not going to do that. And I went, okay, we should definitely play together then. This is the right move.
Right. Yeah. Well, like if you had been insistent, I would have been like, cool, dude, take your shitty punk rock song and shove it up your ass, you know?
Yeah, it's like poker. You got to know when to hold them, when to fold them.
So. Right. Oh, so it seems that it worked out pretty well. So did you guys know each other prior to that, or no? That was your first meeting?
We did. Yeah. We did know each other.
Okay.
Morgan, I used to work at a coffee shop. I worked there for about 10 years called 1369. The best was when customers would come in and say, was that the year you were founded? And I'm like, yeah, it's a coffee shop here in America that was founded in 1369. You got it. That's how this works. But we were at 1369 Cambridge Street. That's why we were called that. But I worked there.
That makes so much more sense.
Doesn't it? And this guy would come in, and I don't know if you ever worked in the coffee industry, but people when somebody's a regular and they have a regular drink and it's an easy drink, you love them because they're just in, they're out, it's great. You know what to charge them. You can have it ready when you see them. He always got a Thai iced tea, but he would high five everybody on staff, like the whole staff. Like if you were working in another room, you'd have to come out and give him a high five. He was the high five guy. So when he answered my ad, I went, "You're the high five guy."
Well, wild. Okay, but so you guys never, like, because Morgan, you were saying you played in a band before. Nicholas, I'm assuming you played in a band before too.
Yes.
What band did you play in?
Oh, I've been in over 30 bands, and the band I was in at the time when I met him was called Big Dumb Animal. It was kind of like, you know that band Can, that like proggy kind of band. It sounded kind of like that. Okay. And I was just looking to do something a little bit more my home base, which is heavy stuff, noisy stuff, loud stuff.
Sure.
And so I thought I'd do this as a side project so I wouldn't put too much pressure on the other guys. And this became my full-time band.
Okay. Oh, it's funny that you said that. So you have like a prog rock influence in you.
Yeah, a little bit. Mostly grind. I played like in so many like grind bands, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And then I would always try to experiment with stuff. And I did like a solo project called Monster Truck Rally that was just like weird kid songs. And
okay.
And it was, I think that's the nice thing about meeting Morgan is I've gradually learned over the years that he's as weird as I am. He just hides it well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he came into practice one day and he was like, you know how you like I was like, damn, it's so hot and I don't like wearing long pants when I play music. And he's like, have you ever considered a wrestling singlet? And we both laughed. And then he said, yeah, I ordered us some pug wrestling singlets. And I was like, I'm not wearing that. And he's like, you're going to wear it. And I was like, I'm not fucking wearing it, dude. And
now
then
you wear it all the time.
I wear it. Yeah, we wear it every time we play.
Right. He was really dead set against it, like really not going to have it.
Yeah.
And then we wore it the first time and people fucking freaked the fuck out for it. And they were into it. And he was like, all right, this is the thing.
So what came first, the dog motif or the singlet?
The dogs.
Okay, so you got the singlet based on the motif of like this dog's theme you have going on with your band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another Morgan moment right there. Like he's got these genius ideas sometimes that kind of come out of completely left field. Yeah. And I said to him, listen, man, I'll do some artwork for our demo, but like, what's our theme? Like, is it skulls? And he's like, well, we have three things in common. We like sex, we like pizza, and we like dogs. And he was like, and I think pizza and sex have all been overdone. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, we're dogs now.
Yeah. Wild. Huh. Well, I mean, hey, it makes sense, right? I mean, you gotta find that commonality, right? Yeah. Especially it's a two-piece. I mean, like, I think your personalities make up so much of what your band is like.
Yeah.
So listening to the new record, by the way, I just wanted to mention this because I was listening to it very closely, and I listened to some of the other older material too, and it seems that you guys are kind of like at that point where you're melding, you're kind of changing, you're in your chrysalis, if you will, right? So like the new record coming out is actually kind of a little bit more proggy. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a change. You got a few songs that are very long, like 3 minutes long plus.
That's an opus for us.
Yeah, it's a straight. It's just a straight for you guys.
Right. Well, so yeah, I think definitely the first record was just sort of like everything we had written up to that point, and this record was definitely more like more thought out. I think more of a complete sort of idea.
Even
more so than like the last record, Pillow Talk?
Yeah.
Pillow Talk, that's the one he's saying is like, we went into that saying that should be more like our live set. That should be all the stuff that we play and how we play it live.
Right.
Yeah. And so this record, there's the new record, Between the Sheets, there's actually only one song on it that we had played live previous to recording it, because like a couple of those things had been written sort of as pandemic was like right before pandemic started, and then we ended up writing the rest of the record like since pandemic. So there's really only one song that had ever been played before people
Oh,
before,
weird.
which
Okay.
definitely we were then sort of like, oh shit, how are we gonna pull this off, man? Like
Oh, yeah, because you haven't played it live yet.
so we've played a bunch of it now, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
we have Nicholas is probably more of a skilled musician than I am. Uh, I'm often sort of hanging on by like by the skin of my teeth, and so I definitely there was pretty continuously like I'll make a record and it's like there's a couple things on it that I'm like I can do it, but it's sketchy. And there's
Yeah.
definitely a bunch of stuff on this record that it was like I'm gonna have to practice that shit because like it's hard.
Right.
It's,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I would not have expected that at all. I mean, I think that you guys both seem to be very, capable musicians. You seem to obviously take on a lot. Nicholas, your bass playing, you kind of do some kind of like A/B thing, I think, with your amps or something. So you kind of capture both trebly low high ends and low ends, and so you kind of like your one guitar, your one bass sounds like multiple guitars.
Yeah, it's also the style of playing that I do. I used to listen to a lot of like old bluesy stuff, and I got into that. And everybody that plays a stringed instrument, I'm sure, has like a bluesy phase or whatever. But I always thought it was really neat how they could make it sound like it was like a rhythm section and a lead section at the same time on one acoustic guitar. And I taught myself to do that for another band that I was in called The Taste of Silver. Because it was just guitar, kind of like Coleman. It was guitar, drums, and vocals. And I tried to reapply that to the bass, and it's a whole nother world. Like, when you play you play an instrument, right?
Yeah, bass primarily.
You play bass, okay. So then you know that sometimes adding in like a fifth on a bass can sometimes really muddy what you're trying to do, and sometimes an octave on a bass can actually sound more pronounced than it does on a guitar. It can almost take on a life of its own. So I really had to go back in and reapproach the way that I played like a string instrument. Because if you listen to CPAP, there's not a lot of magic in the way that I'm playing. But if you listen to the stuff on the new record, all of that's on one bass. I mean, there's nothing that I can't do on one bass. So.
Right, right. Yeah, that's kind of like what I was noticing. I was just like, I mean, minus the possibility of recording magic, I mean, like from what I saw of your live shows, like I saw some videos of you guys live, and I can see that like you're totally capable like of performing this type of thing, at once, like simultaneously. Like you're not layering tracks through your record.
Nah, yeah, we don't use loops or anything.
Right.
A lot of it's retention of I forget what it's called, but basically retention of vision, how animation works. That your brain will see two pictures, but for some reason, if they're in a close enough time span, will draw like a line between them, so you can see a pictures with like a flip book.
Right.
You flip it, and it looks like it's moving, but it's not moving. Your brain's just making it move.
Right.
It's the same thing with sound. If you hear certain sounds in a time frame from one another, you begin to think it's like a complete chord or that it's two different things. So I try to exploit that as much as possible.
Okay. And Nicholas, were you always a bass player, or did you play anything beforehand?
I played guitar for the majority of my life.
Okay. And when did you start playing?
When I started playing guitar?
Well, it was the first instrument that you picked up?
No, now to walk back on what I said, the first instrument I picked up was bass, but I did not play it well, and I did not learn it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I picked it up because my mom asked the music teacher at my school what instruments I could play for free, and he pointed to an upright bass and said, "Nobody wants to carry that around." My mom said, "Hey, I signed you up for band." And I go, "Oh, I'm going to play saxophone. I'm so excited." She goes, "No, you're going to play this thing." And I said, "Oh, that's unfortunate." So I just sort of messed around. And then my friend, one day we were listening to the radio, and we were like, "Man, we could do this." He's like, "Why don't we do it?" And he's like, "I always wanted to play bass." And I go, "All right, I guess I'll teach myself guitar." And that's what happened then. I was about 13, maybe 12. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So always the stringed instrument, always one of those two. And I didn't get to ask you. I already asked Morgan a little bit. He told me about your history with music as a kid growing up. Like what was music like in the house?
Wasn't really.
It wasn't a lot?
Nah, my dad would always play stuff, and he had a vast like collection of different music, which I think is probably the one thing I really appreciate that I got from my father is that he would listen to anything. Like it would be from just jazz to bossa nova to heavy music to dance music. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I mostly live with my mom, and she didn't listen to music ever.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so I thought of it as more of my sister's thing, and I was like, I'm never gonna listen to music. I hate music. And then I heard the Beastie Boys, and funny that Morgan got into Run DMC too, because we sometimes connect on that. I also got into Run DMC, and I was like, I'm only gonna ever listen to rap music because my sister listens to heavy metal. And then I started junior high, and I was like, oh God, I like rock music now. Like it was almost like a dirty secret.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah. So that was it for me. And I sometimes go, like, I was just at my mom's house recently, and in the basement was like the old Sugar Hill Gang tape, and like I loved the Fat Boys because I was heavy set and they were heavy set. So
Right.
yeah.
Huh.
I got that shit on vinyl, man.
You got Fat Boys on vinyl?
Yeah, since it came out, man. Since it came out. Yeah.
Hubba, hubba,
Man.
hubba, hubba, hubba.
Right.
You hold on to all your stuff, Morgan, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
There's very few records I've gotten rid of. And definitely there's a couple that I got rid of that I then, like, a couple years later was like, that record's awesome. Why did I, like, man, I can't, like, I'm such an asshole that I got rid of that. But yeah, so basically
needed money or something, right?
Right. I basically, like, I definitely have a bunch of records that I fucking hate and I never listen to, but I'm also like, when I'm 60, this might be my jam. Like, I'm not getting rid of it. So
yeah, who knows? So we should get on to the record that you guys chose, but before I do that, I want to ask you one question about the new record, because I was listening to it and I was really getting into it. The one song, Fitted Queen. What's going on with the end of that song? Whose idea was the end of that song?
I mean, it was kind of like a mix. Like Morgan's got one approach to it, and I have one approach to it, and Andrew had another approach to it. And
Andrew
I think
was
it
the producer.
collaborative. He was the producer, and we gave him a ton of freaking room to explore.
Okay, yeah. So 'cause I was wondering, didn't know if he had any influence on it, because he's a very successful producer. Has produced a number of like really influential records and bands. I don't remember his discography off the top of my head right now, but a bunch of like really great music.
Oh yeah.
yeah, Andrew Schneider he's a great dude. He is really good at his job. A pleasure to work with. Like really, I don't know if I ever really want to record with anybody else. Like he is totally top notch, and he's done a lot of really. He's been in some really great bands and recorded some really great records.
Right.
Yeah, and we had a couple ideas for that. That's really probably the only like recording magic stuff that like is on any of our records. Like there's sort of the end of that song. We basically were like remix it like as it's going, and like we had a couple ideas of sort of like. I wanted to hear like some like dub reggae sort of echo on the snare drum, like I was like,
yeah.
Can you get that to like, like you hear the snare drum drop and then you can hear it echo back a bunch, I was like, give me some of that. So it's like almost confusing where you can't tell where the real snare drop is,
Right.
And then Nicholas had some other ideas, and we were just basically like, we're going to just play and like, we're going to keep on going, and then like you do whatever the hell you want to do with it.
Yeah, for me, it was, I approached that song with one of the LPs I have is Prince Controversy, and I never knew that there was like a longer part to the first verse or a pre-chorus because there's a skip on it. And when I heard it on the radio on the oldie station up here, I was like, wait, what? What is all this? And I went back and I was like, oh, damn. Because in my mind, he says like two lines and it goes like, and so it's like, oh. And I said to Andrew when we were talking about doing the record, I go, I really want on this song for it to do what it does on my Prince record. And so we threw that at him. And I think for us, you mentioned that this record, the chrysalis concept and stuff, I think for us, it's always about challenging yourself. And I think that's why I appreciate Morgan's thought process and how it at times will be in parallel with mine, but at other times it'll be in direct, there'll be not dissonance, but because we'll do stuff like we did Between the Sheets, and we're like, this is a listenable record. Pillow Talk was like our live record. Now we have a record you can put on and sit down and listen to. And now our plan for the next LP is to do the opposite, to have something that's stimulating, or it's just feels like it's way too arousing. And I know I said arousing, and I mean the word arousing.
Sure. Yeah. Music can and should do that. Let's get into it, shall we?
Sure.
So Plate 6 was formed in Birmingham, Alabama in 1995 as a 4-piece rock outfit. By 91 or 99, they kind of broke up, and then the 2-piece, Daryl and David, regrouped with, and after they found Brad Davis to take on the drums, 1999. And I think that's where you guys kind of like picked up with them and started hearing their records. I think that was the lineup that recorded basically everything that they have. So, Battle Hymn for the New Republic came out in 2005, and like I said, there's fucking nothing about it anywhere except for some reviews. I gotta say thank you to David, by the way, if he's listening to this, just for reaching out to me, just for responding to me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to know that I was kind of there. I was kind of at that point. I told him specifically, I was just like trying to analyze this record, because I don't have any lyrics or anything about the making of it or the band or anything like that. It was kind of like trying to do a puzzle missing pieces. Like I felt like, it's like I can kind of see it here, but it's just not done. Like I just don't know what it is, So we'll do our best with it. I found a review. Yeah, okay, there was a review from The Skinny, which is a UK publication. The title of the review was Psychedelic Sludge Punk Rock Without the Money Shot.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the body of the article says all good things about the band and this album, but then it like heavily rags on the singer's inability to sing or convey emotion, which I was like, that's not even right.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of off.
Right. And definitely like this record in comparison to their first record, like the vocals, like his singing ability and his ability to like write vocal melody and stuff is like a huge jump. It's a huge, like,
yeah.
I mean,
well, for screaming too. I mean, like between him and Daryl, I mean, they do some vocal exchange, and it's screaming. It's a lot of screaming, but even still, it's just like, there's the comparison here that, influences for Plate 6 are Sonic Youth, Unwound, Farraquet, Fugazi, and Frodis. And I could hear that Fugazi for sure. I was just like, the way he sings is no different than any other like hardcore punk singer that I've ever heard. I mean, like, I don't see it as being strained or lacking emotion or anything like that. I mean, that this review is just fucking bunk.
Right.
All right.
Feels like they have a bone to pick, if anything.
Right, but I mean, like, but at the same time, we all acknowledge that Plate 6 is a relatively unknown band. It's a very independent and obscure band.
Yeah.
So why would these reviewers be? I don't know. I guess
could have owed them money or something, or.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just really poor writing.
Right.
It's just poor, like, sloppy writing, I think.
And I would even say, so this is one of the things I really like about this record is the vocals of it.
Yeah, that change from the last record to this, I actually prefer singing on this.
There's some movement to it. And I think like on this record, they sort of, there's some of that sort of going on there where like, yeah, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're singing really loud, but like there's still like there's a vocal melody line, like
right.
That's
right.
Another part that I really like about this record is that there's sort of no instrument is doing the same thing as anything else ever. You know, like everyone is sort of like it's all sort of intertwined. You know, like everybody, both guitars are playing separate things always, and the vocal line at some points sort of meets with like a guitar line, but it's always a separate sort of melody happening. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, the way that they weave their guitars together is very, very unique, because it's like, it's not like they're playing the same chords like simultaneously. They really have grasped how to kind of like harmonize with each other and play in like different octaves, kind of like what you're doing all by yourself, Nicholas, you know, with your bass.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, it's just really kind of cool to hear two guitarists being able to do that together.
It's pretty neat, and I think that, you know, it's weird because every time I was thinking about all the things that I wanted to say about this record, and it's all in comparison to the last record. Like, yes, the vocal style shifted, and on the first record it seemed like there was more, you know, it was more homogenous. Like, there was times where it felt like, hey, a member of our band is missing, so these two guitars are gonna kind of streamline and play what they would have played if there was a bass, you know, here. But this record, yeah, exactly that. It's like this tangle of all these different things, and it creates this atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. For sure. By the way, I just remembered that you asked about the price for that Q Lazarus record.
Mm-hmm.
Original pressing from the UK of that record, median price range is $526.
That's pretty. Is that a lot for a record? I don't know.
That's a lot for anything.
Okay.
I don't spend that much money ever.
Hey, you know what they say? Goodbye horses, right?
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing, but it's one of those things, one of those rarities. So, all right, let's get into the record. Now, the first track is Hymn for Shedding Rust, which is an instrumental. It's just kind of an intro into the record. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that, and we're going to go on to As the Pinson Turns.
Good song.
So yeah, it gets pretty difficult right off the bat as far as words and stuff is concerned. You know, we've been talking a lot about the lyrics of these songs and how it's kind of hard to make them out. So anyone that's listening to that just kind of heard that first little part, you can hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, like sort of talking, you know, the interplay between the two guitars really is like, they do some really amazing stuff on this record. Like that, just like part of why I was sort of obsessed about this record for a long time is that like sort of every time I listen to it, I hear something new. And like, I'm not a person who plays a noted instrument, but like I've been playing it for a long, long time. So like I can hear there's stuff like, so at the beginning of this, there's one guitar that sort of, you know, is sort of holding maybe more of what would be the bass line. And the other guitar is playing a counter line to it, but it's varying every time. Like, it's not like he plays the same counter line 4 times in a row. It's like, it's mostly the same each time, but like, you know, we'll say like, you know, if it's a 4-measure phrase, like on measure 3 and 4 of each one, there's always a few notes that are different, or like a rhythmic change, like every time. I don't know. It's like, so not only are they playing 2 separate things, but like that is also moving in and of itself, you know, like, and they do it through the whole record, that it's just like, and it's not like heavy metal, like guitar wankery, you know, it's not complex for the sake of complexity, you know, like.
Right. Now, so what I kind of got onto, or what I was starting to think about, you know, analyzing this record, is that this kind of is like an emo record. Is that correct? Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's got some of those moments. Yeah.
So some style of it. There's something melding in there. It's a kind of hardcore, screamo, emo.
I feel like it's kind of like what is your thought on, like, say, Superchunk or Jawbox? Like, if you would say that that's emo, then I guess they're emo, but I feel like it's more in like that realm of things.
Yeah, you know, I would call those guys like Superchunk and Jawbox more like indie rock. I think this has like some of the earnestness like the earlier emo stuff had, you know, like, you know.
Right.
Like,
so maybe the confusion for me is that it's kind of prog rockish, you know, and
At
I think
times,
and I think that a lot of emo bands kind of lean kind of heavily on prog,
Yeah.
But it's usually more of like a kind of melodic sense, like a little bit more harmony in places. So maybe prog rock is more suitable for this record.
It's a tough one because it seems like if this was a starting point for people, I think that that would be the thing they pick up on as they're building these melodies. But I almost get the sense that they did that as them exploring how to make this relationship between all three members work. Like, I don't see the melody as being what they're searching for. I see it as where they ended up. So I guess for me, that's why I'm seeing it so differently, is like I still hear that hardcore band, but I see them as just trying to make those songs, but, using this different methodology.
Okay. Well, now I think lyrically speaking, again, like just the title of the record, the title of the songs, I think, considering those are so obvious, more so than what he's actually singing during the body of the music, it certainly kind of gravitates towards that kind of like emo band thing,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, especially for 2003 we figured out, or 2005.
2005, yeah. And what I think, like what I kind of grasped here was like, yeah, these are like really like thought out lyrics. This is poetry essentially.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what do you guys look to when you're writing your material?
Oh man.
Lyrically or in, like with the instrumentation? Or?
Lyrically, let's start there.
I mean, the challenge for us, or rather, let me go back on that. Rather than the challenge, I think there's sort of a program that we put in place, is that all the song titles have to be sleep references, right, Morgan? Yeah.
Right.
And everything from the name of our band, our album titles, everything's got like this double entendre thing going on.
Sure.
So, for instance, Waking Dream, that's a sleep reference. But it's also about a time in my life where I was very much into drugs and didn't have kind of a future plan, and I was trying to get my mind right. And so in that sense, it's a waking dream. So there's that darkness to the lyrics, but also kind of the silliness to the name. And then there's other things like, what else? Guestcott. Where Guestcott, you read through it and you're like, boy, these lyrics are extremely serious. But the song's just about masturbating. That Cyndi Lauper song, She Bop, her record label approached her and said, hey, you got to write a song about masturbating. And she's like, what? And
she had to? They wanted her to?
Yeah. They said that there was all these guys that wrote songs about masturbating, and they were successful songs, so they wanted her to write a song about masturbating from a woman's perspective. So she wrote She Bop. And I always thought that was funny because I didn't know that. I thought it was about dancing. So I wrote Guestcott as it sounds like it's about like self-admonishment and about like hopelessness. But now that you go back and read it, like I know I do this to myself is one of the lyrics. Okay, yeah, I guess that's what you're doing there, buddy. And that's also why the song goes on forever, right? Like, because it's just repetition and boring and futile. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that jerking off is boring for you, man, and seems repetitive. I don't know.
It sucks.
You got to work on that, man.
It's punishments.
Yeah, man, you got to treat yourself right.
Right.
It's like
You deserve the best, man. You gotta.
Maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe I need to take a class. So I think that that with our lyrics and stuff, sometimes it's about very, very serious things, and sometimes it's about things that aren't very serious at all. And we just try to make it work. But the names are always, gonna be some kind of reference, some kind of joke, some kind of double entendre, sometimes a triple entendre.
But there's always kind of like a humorous kind of play in there.
Even
if you're tackling a serious subject, you might put a little bit of a humorous spin on it.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever you want it to be, really. I mean, it's you're the guys writing it. You're going to kind of just do whatever you want, right? I'm just curious, I was curious just where does it come from? Like, where do you find, aside from this record, aside from any record, like what do you find brings inspiration to you?
I mean, for me, it's a lot of, it just sort of happens. Like Old Mattress was about, the whole song just sort of came together, and it was about when I was homeless for 2 years. And I think sometimes these things just lock in place. Morgan likes to say, what is it that you say, man? It's like either we spend like a year working on a song, or we get it in like 1 second and it's done.
Right. Right. Yeah. We either torture ourselves like grinding it out, like reworking it and reworking it and reworking it until like it's something right, or we'll write it in one practice. Like, and there's never a split. Like it's like, right, the song either writes itself or we torture ourselves trying to
get it right.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next song. Concrete Mouth of Safety.
Yeah,
it's a good riff.
The vocals don't kick in until like a minute into the song, which is like maybe part of why I wanted to talk about this record too, just because it's like, and maybe part of why I listen to this so much is it's so counter to anything that I like how I would play. It takes about a minute for the vocals to kick in. Like we could have played 2 songs in that time. Like
right.
It's neat.
Yeah, it's a different style of music, kind of like from what you guys do. Really, I mean, there's similarities, but it's different for the most part. So I'm curious now, because what I said was that this record, from what I can gather, does not really a very like tight connection to what you guys do. What are some other influences of yours like that you think influence what you're doing currently?
I think like I am often more inspired by stuff that isn't really in the same genre of music that I play.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's why I'm asking, because I mean, you guys must have. First of all, I know you're a massive collector, so therefore, if you have a massive collection, you probably have a massive, eclectic one.
Yeah, definitely,
right.
Definitely.
Dude,
yeah.
He's got a wall in his dining room, and then like a corner, like 2, that's just all records. But he's not home, so you can't see it. But it's just an incredible amount of vinyl. It must weigh a ton.
Yes, it does. It sucks to move.
Yeah, right. So, Nicholas, what about you? What are you currently listening to?
I am currently listening to what I got on my record player right now. I got Wireline's record on there, their new record. I'm into things like, what have I been listening to? Big Black songs about fucking. I've been listening to a ton of, I can never say his name right, and I looked up how to say it, and it was one of those weird phonetic things. Jeremy Enick.
Okay.
The guy from Sunny Day Real Estate, that guy?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of him. Jeremy Enick. What else have I been listening to? I woke up this morning with Dishwalla Counting Blue Cars stuck in my head. And when we went in to do Between the Sheets, I know, so weird, and I didn't want it there. Because he thought he was so edgy when he goes, "'Cause I'd really like to meet her," about God. Yeah, so I was like, ooh, you showed us. What was it? When we did this record, Andrew said, what do you guys want this to sound like? And I said King of Rock by Run DMC. And I stand by that statement. Tyler, the Creator, I've been listening to a ton. And then I saw him do the Grammys, and I was like, he nailed it with his performance. So, yeah. I guess that's what I've been listening to. Same as Morgan. We try to branch out, because if you listen to just hardcore, all your stuff turns into poo-poo.
Right. Yeah. Wait, so you said that Andrew, the producer of the last record, and Pillow Talk as well.
Yeah.
He asked you what you wanted the record to sound like, and you told him King of Rock?
That's correct. Well, originally I said Tougher Than Leather. And then I was like, well, and then I went back and I was listening to King of Rock again. And I was like, King of Rock. So if you listen, like the mastering and stuff, there's definitely this compression on the whole thing, kind of like that old record. And there's some mixing ideas where he went for the warmth of those sounds. Because that, I don't know, that was such an interesting error for rap. They didn't know how to market it, and they didn't know the confines that society would accept it. So like people didn't swear yet, And
right. It was still brand new. I mean, they were still brand new, exploring the whole idea of what it could be. Really, that's interesting though. I'm just kind of curious. Like, I mean, I'll have to listen to the record again with that in mind, but I'm curious, like, if and how Andrew was able to capture that with your music.
listen to this record versus the old record and listen to how radically he mixed them differently. It's kind of nuts because it's pretty much the same production team, except Alex Allenson was on this one, which is why I think we were able to get some more really unique sounds. Not that Andrew couldn't do that, but it's just Alex was like, oh, let's try this, you know. But I think the mixing is just, he took a completely different approach to this record than he did on Pillow Talk.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely I'll A/B them together.
Yeah,
playing back to back. So the next song on this record is Red the New Black. Let's listen to that. That's a decent part to stop at. All right, so Red the New Black. First thoughts of this song for me is that it's possibly dealing with some regret, possibly even some revenge. With some weird stuff going on there lyrically. First lines, as far as I can tell, are I want to go back and start over again. If you could start this band over again, is there anything that you would change?
Wow.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, I can't say as I would. You know, I've really enjoyed everything that we've done. Even the missteps have been really good learning experiences. And I think that it's been really interesting to see so many things in a writing partner that are, like I said, similar and at times dissimilar, and just trying to, you know, if you met Morgan just on the exterior, this is not the depth that the man has, and it's really interesting every time a new layer of the onion gets peeled back, you know.
Yeah. So what is writing like between you guys?
Like 9 times out of 10, Nicholas comes in with an idea. We mess around with it for a little bit. I tell him he's doing it wrong. I make him like cut out like 3 notes from every riff.
Even though he wrote it, he's doing it wrong.
Yeah. This just happened the other day.
Right. It's true. Right. Well, he is. I mean, like, it's not how it's supposed to go. Like, right.
It's because he's taking on too much. He's trying to do the percussion as well as the two guitars.
That's just because I wrote it, and that's why it's wrong.
Like, I imagine I'm sort of a pain in the ass to play with. I think I definitely do a lot of like not necessarily creating so much, but editing. You know, like
right.
So Nicholas comes in with a cow, and like I trim away all the fat.
Yeah, there you go.
It's sort of what you know, like, you know, and then maybe we boil the fat down and you know.
Yeah.
We make a delicious soup out of that or something, but
right. So you're like a good producer.
Yeah, he's
because you're not a writer in the sense in an instrument. Like you know, it's easy to write for guitar or bass, any kind of like stringed instrument, anything you can kind of play musical notes on. But the drums is a little different because it's not really notes. It's kind of more. It's just percussion. It's just rhythm, right? More so than anything.
Right.
I mean, the drums have different tones, but it's just not the same. Like it's really hard to write something with drums.
Right. So that's usually like sort of what will happen is that he will often come in with sort of like a chord progression that he wants, and that's where like I start trimming it down. Is like no, like you play the last note, you pluck it 4 times, but only pluck it twice, and the note before that, skip it completely, you know, which I imagine is, you know, I'm a pain in the ass, but
no, I think it's good. You know, during the pandemic when we couldn't hang out before the vaccines were around, I did a solo project, and it reminded me that I need editing. Like I will, if I'm not getting edited, I get into this zone where I'll write 100 things, and like maybe 4 of them are actually good. You know, and I think that's what's helpful about it. And he gets, you know, some stuff you can get by him, and then some stuff he's just like a total trap. He's just like, nope, that's not going to happen. This is how it has to be. And you go, all right, and then it's a feedback loop. I'll take that, write 100 responses to that, and then he picks the things that he likes, et cetera, et cetera. Or sometimes we just show up, don't say anything to one another, just start playing music, and it happens.
Yeah.
Wild.
And occasionally I bring in stuff, but like I end up doing the like one finger on one string bass line, like it kind of goes like this, but
Kind of sounds like Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
right, 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 right. Or I'm like, it kind of sounds like this, but this has got to be higher, this has got to be lower, this, like, because I can't make my fingers do what I hear,
Right.
Yeah, Count Sheep. He wrote that middle section, and it was the weirdest thing. He's like, "No, you want to go up high and just be like," and I'm like, "What? What does that even mean?" He's like, like whiny and high, and he's like, "You're not going to be able to do it with this setup. You're going to have to like get something to make it happen." I said, "All right."
Yeah, I made him buy another guitar pedal just so he could make the right sound.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's move on to the next song, "The Unmoved Mover."
That's got to be a Telecaster or something that he's using. And I'm definitely getting like a very even, like a nice overdrive that's very responsive on that telly, because there's some brightness to it, but when he leans back, it pulls back with him just a little bit with the overdrive, like it stops getting gritty.
I think you're partially right. I only saw the only live video of this band seems to be from this one performance, even though there's multiple clips that you can find on YouTube. It's obviously this one same show. And it seems like David is playing some type of Stratocaster. Based on the headstock, it looks like a Strat, but it's certainly a Fender.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if he's got it 3 pickups and he's doing middle and bridge, because there's a little bit of that warmth to it, but it's not as deep as a neck. So
Right, but then it's hard to tell because of the second guitarist. Because
Right, yeah.
I mean, they're 2 guitar tones essentially. There's not really one doing a very specific low end kind of like bass notes. They're very much 2 guitars.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have a hard time figuring that out. I can't differentiate that, me personally. So the Unmoved Mover, again, very heavy, like thought-provoking lyrics from what I can make out. The few lyrics that I definitely grasped are, "We are the inanimate, the useless." So that makes me wonder, do you take pride in or even consider trying to win over an immobile or apathetic audience?
That's a good question. Morgan, what's your perspective on that? Because I know my perspective, but I've never thought to ask you that.
Do you find that you actually even get in front of audiences that don't know who you are and they just don't seem into it?
We definitely often play in front of people who like have no idea what the hell is going on. And like, we make an impression one way or another. And I think, like people are either like, we definitely have cleared some rooms. Like we are pretty crushingly loud. And so like, it's like one of those like, shit, if it ain't your thing, like people leave. And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we are doing what we're doing for us. And like, we definitely put on a show or whatever, but like, if people don't really like it, like, I don't really give a shit. Obviously I would love it if people love my band, but like,
Right.
we have definitely played, like we play with like some pretty like punk rock, like, got your leather jacket and your spiked mohawk. We've played with a bunch of like those, and like some of those kids, like they got no fucking idea what we're doing, and it's like,
Right.
oh well,
They'll figure it out someday.
right. Well, it's like, well, we're still gonna do what we do for the next 25 minutes, and like we're gonna be louder than your band and probably better, and like you can hang outside and smoke cigarettes, like that's fine. It's like,
That sounds nice. Wait, can I do that? Oh, I have to be on the stage.
You do, although I wanted you to get the wireless thing so you could go wherever you wanted, but
It sounded bad. I think for me, I don't know. I've had this philosophy for a long time. Lemmy Kilminster once said, when people go to a concert, they don't want to see normal everyday people. They want to see weirdos, monsters, freaks. They want to see, and Alice Cooper said the same thing. I don't know if you can see. I got a picture of Alice Cooper up here.
Oh, is that who that is? Okay.
Yeah, it's Alice Cooper. People want entertainment. I mean, as much as we convince ourselves that we're some kind of deity or politician in the making or whatever the fuck Kid Rock or Ted Nugent or any of these people want to do, we're entertainers, and we're there to give people some kind of stimulation and excitement and energy, and to help them maybe connect with a feeling that they're having trouble connecting with for the other 364 days a year. So when I get up on stage, I like to give people a show. Like, I'll put the bass behind my head. I remember one time I put the bass in my teeth when we played at Sammy's Patio, and it felt very uncomfortable. But, I try to perform the songs in a way that helps them understand that particular song. And so, in a way, that's my goal with connecting with them. Like, if they understand the song, even if they don't get the lyrics, even if they don't know what the hell we're doing up there, I think that's cool,
Right.
But part of it is the experience. Like, Morgan has this rule, like, don't fucking jib-jab on stage. Like, we're not there to fucking talk. We're there to perform and to play these songs for you and to give you something that's a spectacle. So when we get up there, we're not like, hi, we're Bedtime Magic. We have records in the back. We just get up, I play feedback.
Right.
18 minutes later, we're done. We played a show up in Salem, Mass, where they had free food. It was like a sushi boat, like one of those boats. And what was it, wings? Yeah. That, for me, is the best. It sounds like I'm joking. I am not joking, sir. I like it when there's free food. And,
Shit, yeah.
And gas money home. And then I get to perform. What more could I ask for?
That's really the life, man. I mean,
Yeah.
If you can't make money off of your music, I mean, that's the next best thing. It's just take care of me.
Yeah. set the video game in the corner to free play mode, and then just let me hang out,
Yeah. Feed me, give me drinks. I'm good. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next song, which is Loosed. All right, Loosed. So I got a couple of the lines out of that first verse. Not all of them, but the two that stuck out to me was we built a shelter out of lies and a paradise of flashing lights. So being that time of the year kind of made me think about Christmas a little bit. Is there anything on your lists that you're looking forward to or hoping for?
I hope I don't hear that fucking Paul McCartney song. I hate it. Yeah. Wonderful Christmas time. What the fuck is that goddamn song?
I will say, like, here's a little fun fact about me. I'll listen to pretty much any kind of music there is, just about anything. And I will tolerate most and enjoy quite a bit. I fucking hate Christmas music passionately, and I do not ever want to hear any of it ever.
What about Christmas in Hollis?
Fuck off.
That's a great song.
I don't want. So there's a couple ones that people always pull out. They're like, they'll ask about Christmas in Hollis. They'll ask about what's that Kinks song?
Father Christmas.
I love that
Father
song.
Christmas.
Father Christmas.
Yeah, people ask me about that
great.
one. There's a
can't
couple
play that
other
for
ones,
Frank?
and no, I don't want it.
How about this? I actually had a couple of John Fahey records because he did a couple of Christmas records. Just like acoustic guitar.
No.
Weird.
No, that doesn't dig that. You don't dig that either.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
It's just the joy. It's just the celebration of Christmas in general. You just don't dig
I
it.
fucking hate it. I worked at Tower Records in my teens, and definitely was tortured with it's inescapable. I don't like whistling. I don't want to hear people fucking whistling random shit.
Oh, here we go. You don't like when people chew with their mouths open.
I don't. Right. It's it's totally. I guess I'm uptight about some shit, but I'm not a very uptight person. I think most of the time. I don't know, Nicholas. You could agree. It's just,
I always say the fact that you can tolerate me proves that you are very fastidious.
but there's a couple things that Christmas music is I just can't tolerate it. I desperately need to get away from it as soon as it happens.
Okay, so I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Christmas.
No, but what do you want though? Okay, so I know what you don't want. What's something that you would really like this year?
I already got him his Christmas present. I left it on his snare drum, so when he goes to the practice.
Oh, all right. And I know what Nicholas dropped some hints, so I know what I'm getting for him.
I sent to my Christmas list. We usually give each other for our birthdays grape soda. That's the big thing that we always do because neither of us drink anymore. So we're like, here's some grape soda.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We try and get like the little cans from the like you can get them at the grocery store. It's like the generic grape soda. It's like 4 ounces of grape soda.
Those are the best ones. The stubs.
Yeah.
Presents and stuff, I never really care about them. I always tell my daughter, she actually hates it because she's 6 and she wants to give me stuff. And I'm always like, I just love having you in my life. And she told Andrea, she goes, Daddy won't let me get him presents. Every time I give him presents, he gives them back. I'm like, I just don't want them.
Right. I mean, 6 years old. I mean, what kind of presents do the 6-year-olds give you? It's like,
I have so many crayon drawings around my room. This is insane.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Every major holiday, I get a hand-drawn card of some
like
sort.
what are you supposed to do with that?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next song. Instant Fence. So Instant Fence, let's see. So again, I'm trying to analyze lyrics. So at this point, I guess I just would like to say that, to David or any of the Plate 6 guys that might be listening, I'm sorry if I've slaughtered these things. I'm doing my best, I swear. So some of the lines that I was able to decrypt were, we rise the basket of consolation, celebrate our strengths. So what do you think are your greatest strengths? As a band. As a band, yeah.
Well, we're both very, very handsome and charming.
That helps.
Ooh,
yeah.
charming.
And humble. Incredibly humble. I don't know. I think we both got a pretty good sense of humor, I think. And like we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's probably like our I think, right?
Right? It's important. I mean, you can't get where you want to go if you're just going to be freaking out about everything. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I think it made me think, like, I think we are both largely self-taught in most aspects not just in our ability to play music, but in most aspects as it relates to doing the band, right? Like,
oh yeah, the booking, the building. I mean, you built all your fucking shit,
right.
and it's like,
right. It's like, right. I think both of us very much from like the DIY sort of era of punk rock. Like nobody else is going to do it for you, so like you just got to figure it out.
Right.
Right. So I think that's probably like a strength that we have as a band. It's just like.
Yeah. Do you think that because you mentioned how you both are largely self-taught, do you think that kind of you feel more uninhibited? Do you feel like it works for you that you're not like this technically trained musician?
Yes and no. Like I think Nicholas actually does know a lot of the theory. Like you at least you pull out more of the theory than I think most. I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know that stuff because I hit the point that you're at now a couple years ago where I was like, I have gone as far as I can go without learning more shit about how this actually works. Like, if I don't start learning the actual like nuts and bolts of this, I've hit my limit. So I had to start learning like how it's actually done.
Oh, so you do feel like you were limited up until recently.
Yeah, because I would write a song and I would go, that note doesn't work, and I don't know why that note doesn't work. And a couple years ago, I was like, I have to start figuring out why that note doesn't work. Otherwise, I'm always going to get to this point where I'm like, I got a note that doesn't work, but how do I fix it? And so I started to explore that, and I started to explore what is and what isn't, and kind of retraining myself. And then Morgan's going through a lot of that right now. He spent 30-odd years holding sticks the wrong way, and he's learning to hold them the right way now.
Right. I actually just started taking drum lessons in the last year.
Oh wow!
Because I sort of came up to a point where like my hands really hurt. Like in particular, my left hand like would cramp up like 1 or 2 songs into our set, and it was like I was just like holding on for dear life. Like trying to make it through to the end. And
it was like a simple fix to like get it the right way, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I basically just had to completely change how I did everything. But yeah, it was really simple.
Great.
But
Glad we cleared that up.
yeah, I definitely, like I think how I think about music, I think it's really good that I came at it sort of self-taught. I learned how to be in a band from listening to records, Um, but yes, I definitely came up to some physical limitations in how I could play that like I I needed somebody to help me out with it because it was like definitely there was stuff I could do when I was younger that like now I'm in my 40s I can't like I can't just power my way through it all the time now, and there was a lot of stuff that I can hear it in my head but I couldn't make my body
That's the big one right
move,
there. Yeah.
which was like frustrating for me that I could like hear these things that I wanted to do and I couldn't physically make it happen.
That was the same thing with me, because I hear the songs, but then getting them down on the instrument was always like trial and error, and I was getting fucking sick of it. I was like, why does it always have to be a guessing game? Why can't I hear it in my head and then actually just play it immediately? And once I got that, I think that there's a little bit. I think if you come from the background of having done this all the right way, then that's no good. And I think if you come from the background of having done this all the wrong way, you're going to hit some problems. I think it has to be a hybrid. Same with cooking too. If you don't taste your food, you don't know what you're making. So
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next song. Let's do The Unblinking Eye. This song sounds like it has the most mythological background. Do either of you guys catch that?
I think you got further with the lyrics than I did on this one. I always get caught up in that opening melody line, and then I just sort of like let the song happen.
Sure.
So.
I do. I analyze too much now because it's kind of like I have to, because especially for music that I'm not familiar with, it's just like that's kind of really a gateway into like where is this coming from? Like who are these people? Who's making this and like why and like what's their stance on some stuff? I never used to do it and I don't like it. I mean, as far as like a music listener is concerned and like just enjoying music, like I don't do it. It's just specifically for this show and like kind of like when I'm talking with people about it, because there's also I think there's something psychologically like maybe a little subconscious that's happening, that there's a reason why you guys are like latched onto this music and you think that it's influential for you, and I don't know if you'd be able to pinpoint it directly necessarily. It's kind of like a therapy session. It's just like, what about this is making you tick? Like what's like look at all the little nuances and stuff like that. So with that being said, I don't really have anything particularly good for this song. I kind of just like glommed onto the whole humorous aspect because let's see, so you guys certainly add humor and possibly a little absurdity to your music. So can you tell me about some of what you would consider to be your most funny or absurd songs?
Midnight Snack, right?
Yeah, Midnight Snack probably.
Can you tell me about Midnight Snack? Because I don't know if I can pinpoint it from the discography.
Yeah, what did that even come out on? I don't even remember.
Knockover City Split.
Oh, right. Yeah, so, it's either about eating food or having sex or both.
Oh, okay.
And it's
It's
like a black metal song, but then for some reason we do this like super major change in the middle where it goes put that meat inside my mouth, but it's like yeah.
With like sort of syncopated vocals, like we trade vocals.
Yeah. It's just like A to G to E to, it's like what?
Right. And
that song's
like
ridiculous.
it always makes me think of like, and it's not really related, but like the Wendy's commercials. They're like, "Where's the beef?"
That you say that in the middle, it stops and you go, "Where is
that's
the
right.
beef?" Yeah.
That's why I think about that. That's right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that one, Tucked In, is about a hand job that's too hard. Snore Snore Store is my favorite serious funny song because I was working at that coffee shop and I was looking at these two people at a table. They were clearly like old friends that were getting together for coffee. and one of them was telling the most asinine fucking story. Like, she was like, let me tell you something. Things could not be better between Tom and I, and the kids are amazing. They're doing wonderful. And I was like, this person's so fucking full of shit. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just people like that drive me nuts. So that's what that song's about. And it's pretty just, like, straightforward with the lyrics. So. It was, I heard you say you love everything you do. Your life's a cakewalk, and your family is too. What does it matter if you're awful? What does it matter if you can't shut the fuck up? Because it went on for a while, and you could tell the other person did not want to listen.
Right.
Yeah, those type of people, it always does, and it never really stops.
It never stops. My mother's doing great. Her hip surgery was a huge success. Shut the fuck up.
I think I was pretty lucky. Like right before my kid was born, there was definitely there was a nurse that I worked with who was like, listen, you're going to talk to people and they're going to tell you that their kid like was sleeping through the night from the very first day and was potty trained in a week, and like they never had any problem breastfeeding, and people are going to tell you they are all full of shit. Don't you worry about it. Like, your kid's going to what your kid's going to do. No matter what these people tell you, just know that most of them are totally full of shit. And I was just like, thank you very much. And it has definitely helped quite a bit, because like people, like whatever, I'm sure I do the same shit, like I talk with people like, oh, my kid was great at that, but like I'm full of it too, like right. I love my kid, but like, he was not the master of all things at all times, like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, we all like to share the better parts of our lives with each other, right? I mean, if we're going to talk to each other, I'm not going to. I mean, do you deliberately like kind of like mention very truthfully all of the horrible shit that might be going on?
No, but okay, so when Jewish people get married, we step on a glass.
Yes.
And you know what that's about?
No.
It's to show that there's the fragility, that things can, break very easily, and that you have to cherish stuff. And, we have all this thing with Judaism where it's like there's darkness in the light and gallows humor and all that stuff. So, I don't know. I think life's like that. It's like I'd rather be honest with people, and that way they know when I'm talking about the good stuff. It's really good. Look, I'm not on my high horse here. Like, I'll tell I'll be like, yeah, Andrea's doing well. Maybe she's not doing well, but I'm not going to be like, she's doing so good. Oh, my God, she's doing so good. It's incredible. I fucking hate those people.
Yeah. Well, because that's like over the top. I mean, it's like, just say she's okay. She's cool, man. She's doing great.
Right. Yeah, she went back to school or something like that.
Right.
There is the other side of that, though. Like, I know a couple people who like speak mostly in complaint. So
that's worse.
Like, I've talked with Nicholas about this. Like, their manner of conversation is they bring up the things that have bothered them. Like right. This is like, oh, like how was you went to that restaurant the other night. How was it? Oh, it was really good. I mean, they made us wait for half an hour before we could sit down, and then they didn't have the 3 dishes that I wanted to order. But it's like I definitely know a couple of people like that's like every conversation.
But that's just really as bad. That's like trying to manipulate your emotions the other direction, which is to get sympathy,
All right, look, so we got one last song because we're going to skip Hymn to Denounce Time. Actually, Hymn to Denounce Time, we're not going to listen to it, but quick question, do you denounce time?
Well, it is a construct.
Yeah.
Yes, but so is language.
Fair enough. Touche.
You guys are exploding my brain.
All right. All right, let's do the last song, Maximalist Anthem. Let's see. In closing, if this album has a theme that I've overlooked, I assume there is certainly some dissatisfaction with a number of things. Politics, governmental agency, and so forth, even personal politics types of things. And actually, David confirmed this with me, that there is no overarching theme of this record, but that there are a lot of kind of things about that in particular, dissatisfaction with just the circle that they were around in Birmingham, but I do see some kind of governmental thing, some kind of like maybe dissatisfaction with government and politics. there's a couple of lines that I was able to discern. Below the bars from every flag, all but our own. And so that leads me to think of some kind of like stance on patriotism. So whether the writer's perspective is pro or against, I'd like to ask you both, in this current climate, how do you feel about our country and what we are currently dealing with?
Oof. That's a can of worms, huh?
Shit's fucked up.
Simple and to the point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with what he said. I mean, what can I say that hasn't been said all over the internet on both sides of the equation, you know?
Right. I mean, and it's not about like saying something different. It's just like your personal opinion. But like, you know, obviously we're stressed out. Obviously we feel a lot of like kind of dissatisfaction with the way things are kind of currently playing out. Who even knows what's going to happen tomorrow, because it seems like everything kind of changes on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's like forced allegiances too. Like it's like you try to be moderate, which is sort of this human inclination to borrow a little bit from column A and a little bit of column B, and people are like, no, you got to go all the way radically right or all the way radically to this perspective. And sometimes the truth is in the between, you know? Like I for one, like I'm vegetarian, but somebody who's on the other side of the aisle might see that as a left-leaning thing, but my choices to eat vegetarian like aren't motivated to make myself seem more like I'm one way or the other. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
like
No, it
I
makes
used to
perfect
see an
sense.
American flag and I just assumed the person liked an American flag or liked America. And now when I see it, I'm like, that's a racist motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't have to feel that way. It's these allegiances that happen now because of so much that's gone on, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree with and understand what you're saying, because I mean, I've noticed that too, and I kind of don't know what to do about that. Like even even the idea of, you know, publicly speaking. Like I know that this is a big and kind of loaded question for anybody really at this time, but realistically, it's just like, you know, can we even speak freely? Because if we do, we're going to isolate or segregate somebody because they don't believe wholeheartedly everything that you say, or at least what you're saying in that moment. You know, it's our natural inclination to share our opinions with each other when we're speaking, right? But it's just like you never know how that's going to land with whoever it is you're speaking with.
It's tricky.
Well, that's okay.
And it makes
I mean,
and it makes you feel like okay, I'm just not going to say anything at all, right?
well, you know, I think it's, you got to be willing, you know, like, right. So I'll relate. I was talking with some of my coworkers, and they were talking about how someone was saying that they were pansexual, and my other coworker was like, "Well, don't you mean bisexual?" And they're like, "No, you're not supposed to say that now. You're supposed to say pansexual." And you know, the other coworker was like, "I don't get it. Like, isn't it just bi?" Right. To which I said, so I think the idea, you know, and I can be wrong about this, but I think the idea about that is that by saying bisexual, you're acknowledging really that there's only two genders, and then you have to make a choice between the two. Whereas if you say pansexual, you're acknowledging that you know, can like any variety of genders, and that it isn't just two to choose from.
Right.
And like,
yeah, that sounds right. I think you're right.
And so my coworker was like, "Well, everybody's offended by all kinds of shit now, and like you're not allowed to say that other stuff." And I was like, "You can say whatever the fuck you want, man." Like, I think the intention, though, by making the choice to say pansexual as opposed to bisexual, is to be more inclusive, right?
Right.
So it isn't like you made a mistake and you've made, you know, like you've committed some horrible crime that can never be forgiven. It's really just, you can make the choice to alter what you say if you want, to be more inclusive and maybe closer to what you actually meant in the first place, right? I don't know. I don't think I'm not communicating it very well, but it definitely seems like there is a certain amount of pride that people have in how mean they can be to one another.
Right.
and that has become sort of more accepted and more like it's okay now, and it's
Right, like
just
witch
like
hunting.
that's the part that I really struggle with. And you know,
Like to bully the bullies back, but then you're bullying too. You know?
right, and it's just like you know, like how nasty people can be to one another is like,
Right.
you know, like
The way I'm understanding what you're saying is that it seems like that from the two different kind of like polar opposite sides that the country is divided into, there's constant witch hunting on either side.
There you go.
So this side is witch hunting. This side is being like, we cannot stand this. We don't like it. We don't we just want to
Yeah.
get rid of this. We want to eliminate
and
this.
how good are you at tormenting your adversary? How good are you at exposing their flaws? And it's
Right.
like, how is that a way to live?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of making us reach a boiling point. I feel like, you know, I mean, something's got to give, and I just kind of hope that it's not for the worse. I hope it's not like a detrimental and devastating circumstance. You know?
If you look at the fact that this is a country, quote unquote, and that we're all supposed to unify on an idea, but there's so much space, and what's right for us here in Massachusetts isn't what's right for somebody in Montana, but we're trying to unify them and say, oh, we're all the same. We should all have the same, you know, laws and all this. It doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
California could be its own country, Oregon could be its own country, like Wyoming. I understand that's complicated and it ends up being, you know, tariffs and all that shit, but it's just weird that it's such a big space that's supposed to be under one idea and one president and one philosophy and one, you know, it's
Right. Right. And then it just makes me think like, well, why can't we all just get along?
why can't we? Yeah.
although
I mean, that's a sincere actual statement. I mean, like, yeah, it's a kind of a joke.
I dig it, but the Rodney King meant that as a sincere statement too. Like,
Right, right. But I think that it's true. I mean, it's really the only good answer is that we all just need to kind of like relax and just try to be more understanding towards each other. Kind of like what you were saying, Morgan, earlier about like the understanding and identifying language and being, you know, the choices that you make with the words that you say designate more of a what was the word you used? Not
inclusive, maybe.
inclusiveness. Yeah, inclusiveness. That's exactly it. So, you know, that's kind of like what everybody needs to focus on, I think, is inclusivity.
well, and you know what? It's like TVs were very normal for us growing up. Like, I don't think of a TV as a weird thing, but people that grew up when TVs were first introduced probably always had this sort of like, wow, this is miraculous kind of thing. And I think the same thing goes for a lot of these new terms and languages and perceptions of gender and stuff. Like maybe people in our age group or older see them as weird new terms like those people that you were working with. But today, you know, the kids now, that's just going to be the way it is, you know?
Right.
You just treat everybody the same. So,
Right. I think that's true. That's definitely has a lot of validity to it.
yeah.
Well, look, I don't want to kind of hammer on about the whole politics and stuff. I know
Yeah.
it's a difficult and touchy subject for many people, but I did want to ask you guys about the show that you have coming up at O'Brien's, right?
Yeah.
It's on the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know more about it than me. This is awesome.
Really?
It's just been a busy month. So
Well, I know that it's the official release of the split with Greylock, right?
Yeah.
finally, right?
Yeah.
Because it took a long time to get here.
Right. You know, there was a major plague that happened sort of in between, so sort of
Right.
fucked up our social calendars for a little bit.
It's not right.
How often have you been playing since like post-pandemic?
This will be our third show. Yeah, I think our third show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to do like one a month, one every other month. I mean, we're going to pick up the pace when it seems safe to do so, but we don't want to put people in awkward, compromising positions, you know?
Sure.
And
So,
I mean, we get time.
Is touring in the cards at all, or what?
Yeah, it's going to have to be. We got too many things on our freaking dance card right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, both of us being like parents and stuff,
Yeah.
like, you know, gone are the days of like spending 5 weeks in a van, you know, like
Dude, that shit sucked anyway. I just want to do like a week here and there that's like fun and gets the name out.
Right.
That
Yeah.
shit fucking sucked. I would come home so in debt, so
It
sunburned.
didn't suck. You loved it. You're full of
No, it
shit,
was
man.
fun, but like my stomach hurt. I
Right.
had like 3 weeks of poops that didn't happen yet. You
Right,
know?
right. We were miserable, but we were also like in our 20s and dumb as shit, you know? So like, whatever,
Yeah.
man. Like, you wouldn't trade it. You wouldn't trade it for anything, you know? But it's
Dude,
definitely not where we're at right now. So like, yeah, we will be doing like a little bit of touring, but it's probably going to be like a week here,
4
a week
days,
there,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
long weekends
Right.
and that sort of stuff.
Regional stuff, like kind of maybe down to like North Carolina or something like that. Carolinas up north to Maine.
Yeah, that's the easy stuff, and we're trying to plan some stuff where we can get to the middle states right now because we haven't really hit them. Last time we went out, we went down to Philly, and then pre-pandemic we were planning kind of the same jaunt because you can do that in a weekend, and if your kid gets a cold or something, you can drive home in one night.
Right.
But then the pandemic happened, and we had to fucking put the chop on that. So
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we have to look forward to for this coming? By the time this comes out, it'll probably be this coming weekend. But your show at O'Brien's with Greylock.
be so sick, dude. People can pre-order that new LP. I strongly suggest they do that because there was a lot of stuff with like Pillow Talk tapes and stuff where people were like, "Hey, can I get a tape?" And I was like, "I don't have any tapes anymore. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you snooze, you lose."
Right.
And then we're also on a compilation with 1 million really good bands, and the money was originally to raise money for Tony Giacomi from this band, Charlotte, North Dakota. He was fighting cancer. Unfortunately, the cancer took over. So now we're trying to give the money to his family to help with funerary costs and things.
Right. Wow. Where did you get? Where can you get that?
That's on the Shallow, North Dakota Bandcamp. So it's like shallownorthdakota.bandcamp.com, and it's called Rhino Body Lover.
Yeah.
And it's all new stuff from everybody. There's no old tracks that people threw on there. So it's pretty hip.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Learning Curve Records out of Minnesota. They're distributing it in the U.S. And On the Spot, right?
No List.
What's that?
No List. No List
No
is the
List.
other one.
No List Records in Canada are doing it. So like nobody's seeing any money. That it's all going to go to the family.
Right.
There's
That's
there's some pretty awesome bands that are on it. So like it should be. We've heard a bunch of it already. I haven't heard all of it, but like it's pretty damn good.
Okay. And for a good cause.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's great. So I don't know. I guess that's all we've got to mention for now, right?
Yeah.
New records coming out. Shows coming up on what day is that? 16th. Is that a Friday or what?
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay. Thursday at O'Brien's in Alston. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know the Massachusetts area very well.
Alston is a neighborhood in Boston. It's like the sort of the west side of the city, very close to Boston University and Boston College. Like it's sort of in the middle of those two. Yeah. So we didn't. Well, maybe are we not supposed to ask? Like,
No, go ahead.
so did you like the record? Not our
Which-
record, but the
Plate 6.
record.
But I did like it. Yeah.
All right.
I do like it. It's interesting. I think that I don't know if it'll work its way into my library like permanently, but
Yeah,
it's certainly a cool reference point. It's certainly nice to know that it's there and to kind of like, maybe look back at every now and then.
I feel like you liked it like an academic sense, like you thought it was interesting and the way that they went about it was interesting, but I don't see it as like titillating you.
Well, because I think I dove too deep into it. I kind of like it took too much from me to kind of like parse it out for this show tonight. You
put a lot of work into it. You put it like tracking down the old band members and stuff like that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I mean, I do that for every show, and so I've actually done quite a few just in this past month. Like there's 3 coming up, like this month,
Man.
and so and every one is always like it's a lot of research. It's a lot of like reading and listening and then obviously whoever the guest is was most likely a musician, so most likely they have a catalog too. Now I got to get all that, listen to all that. It's kind of a lot, but it's fun. You know, it's fun.
Awesome.
Well, whatever we can do to promote it and get the name out there and stuff, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate it, and I'll do the same, of course, obviously, because I want people to know about your show and your records coming up, because you obviously want to move those, you want people to buy those.
Right.
If it happens, it happens.
Well, I want people to know your band and to like it. You know, it's always an opportunity just to kind of like get in front of people and be like, hey, this is a fucking cool thing that's happening over here. You should listen to it. You know.
That's why I wanted you to listen to this one. Like, I was just hoping you weren't gonna hate it. You know. So
I don't hate it. I need to listen to that first record. I didn't listen to it.
It's
I was
good.
just like, I'll put it off.
Operation Chair Sit, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'll put it off till later. I'll do that as like, you know, leisure stuff. Like right now I'm studying. So
Right. Well, who knows? You could be listening to it. You could listen to it and be like, "Damn it, we should have talked about this one." This bullshit.
that's true. I mean, but that's your choice. See, I wouldn't impose. I wouldn't be like, well, why don't we talk about this record? I mean, like this one's, I don't know. You know, they said that this was, what was the quote? This is like power pop with no money shot.
Oh, yeah.
Forget what the fuck it was.
So I was like, not recently, but like a couple years ago, I did sort of the same research that you did, because I was like, did they ever do another record? Like, or what happened? Like, where did they go? Like,
Right.
Because I often will like, you know, right. Somebody does one band that I like, I'll check out their next band, you know, like, right. 'Cause
Sure.
a lot of times people do multiple bands that I like along the way. But
Right.
I found a lot of the same stuff, like it's total dead ends, and like definitely like I think their local paper gave it a review or whatever that like totally panned it too. It was like, you know, you could tell it was like somebody had no reference for the music that they were making at all, and was just sort of like, I don't know what these guys are doing. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I wonder if it's a regional thing, because I mean, Birmingham, Alabama, I'm not familiar with that area very well, but I mean, I don't know what kind of like, you know, hard rock, you know, hardcore, emo, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what kind of scene they have there. I really don't. You know, and so I mean that realistically, that could have been their fallback, is that there's not really much of a scene there. I don't know. I mean, I'll have to talk to David about it, I guess. But yeah, I can't remember if I've been there. I don't think I have. Yeah. But, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys. I'm really glad that we were able to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I had a great time, man. And just so you know, you have an amazing radio voice. Like, it's so soothing.
Oh, thanks, man. You know, I got to get real close to the mic like that.
Yeah, you got like a bedtime magic voice. So.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I'll gladly do whatever you want for any of your records.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, buttery smooth, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the magic voice.
I certainly did not plan that. I certainly did not plan on ever doing this. I never thought I would ever have some kind of like program or anything. Never went to college, never did the radio thing, like nothing.
Oh, really? I was actually thinking this whole time that you did a college radio show.
Nope. Never. It's weird. I don't know.
You have a good pacing, good up.
It's just practice, man. You know, just like anything, just like being in a band. You know, like I've been doing this for like 3 years now, so.
Yeah, get good at it.
Getting better. Yeah. Every time, every day you get a little better.
All right, well, thank you very much, James. Appreciate it, man.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you. I love it. Flannel and Vision is a Psychic Static production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins of 123 Astronaut.